Hello and welcome to the VGC Guide to Rillaboom. Rillaboom is an absolute staple to the VGC scene, being one of the top pick Pokemon in any regulation. We will be talking about the current format played as of me writing this, Regulation F. But if you are looking for guidance for future Scarlet and Violet regulations or Pokemon Champions advice, this is just the video for you. Rillaboom is one of the best support Pokemon to pick on your team. There are three parts to its strength and popularity, the first being the combination of Fake Out and U-Turn. Since Fake Out is a guaranteed flinch, but only the first turn Rillaboom's on the field, giving Rillaboom a move like U-Turn which switches you out increases the utility of Fake Out exponentially, giving you so much control over the battle. The second two parts which make it incredibly strong are its ability Grassy Surge, setting the grassy terrain on switching, along with the move Grassy Glide. Since Grassy Glide gains a +1 priority when grassy terrain is on the field, higher priority moves will go before others despite its speed stats, and Grassy Terrain gives grass type moves a 30% damage boost, and along with Rillaboom's extremely respectable 125 attack stat, you have one of the most consistent pieces of damage output in the game. Or you could just say, screw it, I don't need the speed. Woodhammer's stupid high base damage will do the job, and bonk the opponent on the head, doing huge damage. With all that being said, you can either consistently flinch opponents and give a stronger damage deal at that crucial setup turn, or decide, oh wait, my favourite Pokemon's in danger, and chip down scarier Pokemon with consistent, good damage Grassy Glides. Rillaboom is definitely one of the more solved Pokemon. The moveset never really changes between teams, since the core of Fake Out, Grassy Glide, Woodhammer and U-Turn, or High Horsepower if you want some strong Incineroar damage, is really strong. Although I have seen some niche sets myself, specifically at the Frankfurt Regional, I went against a Rillaboom that had Knockoff and its signature move Drum Beating, although it didn't really seem strong to me, so I'm just going to stick with the popular 4 moves for this video. Item wise, Assault Vest. But Bob, what about Miracle Seed? It makes grass move stronger. Assault Vest. Unless one of your other Pokemon in the team are desperate for it, just run Assault Vest. 99% of the time, you're using 4 damaging moves and you really want Rillaboom to soak as many hits as possible for your partner Pokemon. It's just the best choice out there. Even EV sets can stay relatively similar for Rillaboom. Almost everyone really wants the Adamant nature to take advantage of that very strong attack stat. Then it's just deciding which Pokemon you need to take hits for your team. The most common, and one of the scariest Pokemon in this format is Fluttermane. So I decided that I wanted to make sure that the Rillaboom set I made for you today tanks at least 2 Moonblasts from a Fluttermane with choice specs, while also being able to consistently one-shot it with Woodhammer or 2 Grassy Glides. You can also just take a Terra Poison Land or a Sludge Bomb, which can be a pretty tough matchup without a good chunk of special bulk. This also gives you a reliable 2-hit KO into Incineroar with high horsepower. If you're worried about the cat everyone hates. For Regulation F teammates, or just teammates in any format stay illegal, there are 3 partner Pokemon that Rillaboom just loves. It genuinely feels like they're the perfect quartet. Let's start by talking about the secondary Super Fake Out brother. Get it? Like, they're both red and green, and they know Fake Out, they both know Fake Out. Please like and subscribe and I'll stop making stupid jokes like this. Incineroar. The biggest reason they are such a strong duo was mentioned in my previous really funny joke that you all love. Both Rillaboom and Incineroar know Fake Out, whilst also love constantly switching out of battle. A really strong tech you can do with these two is lead with Rillaboom, and if you're sure both opposing Pokemon will protect, you can safely switch in Incineroar, leaving both Pokemon vulnerable to Incineroar's Fake Out next turn. Since both Pokemon also know a move to switch out, Parting Shot or U-Turn, they both massively increase your team's defenses, becoming even more tricky to deal with when paired together. The second Pokemon that Rillaboom loves being paired with is probably one of, if not the most hated Pokemon in the game, Urshifu Rapid Strike. Seriously, if I can get real here, who thought it was a great idea to give a Pokemon that can use a move that hits 3 times in 1 turn, and always critically hits, an ability to hit through Protect? It genuinely just removes all counterplay, and sometimes teams can be built around it just to keep this stupid bear safe. Since he can't be intimidated, you can't use screens, you can burn it, but most Pokemon that can burn Urshifu will be taken out before they're able to move anyway. He removes almost all defensive play that's an absolute staple to VGC. It's just such a stupid Pokemon. Anyway, the reason Urshifu is used so commonly with Rillaboom, apart from the more passionate reasons I just mentioned, is actually because Urshifu is just the strongest water type to use. Urshifu, Incineroar and Rillaboom together create what many players call a balanced team, since the typing of fire, water and grass can hit next to every type for neutral damage, except for Dragon. While these Pokemon also pair well with many varieties of game control, like the previously mentioned Fake Out spam, or other things like Tailwind or Trick Room. The balance of these 3 just seems so fine-tuned, it's almost like Game Freak designed for these 3 to specifically combo up or butt heads constantly. The final Pokemon I want to mention is Raging Bolt. which I'd argue is the perfect Pokemon to round out this quartet. Its Dragon typing means it can 1. Hit those pesky dragons that the previous 3 can't, and 2. Resist most Urshifu, Rillaboom and Incineroar's main forms of damage, and since those 3 are everywhere, it's such a valuable asset. Since it's got one of the most stupidly efficient stat pools I've ever seen, only having a mediocre speed stat, which with its signature move Thunderclap doesn't even matter, it deals both incredible damage and tanks hits for squishier Pokemon easily. To top it all off, in the harsh sub-weather condition, a weather condition that Urshifu and Rillaboom hate, Raging Bolt gains a 30% boost to its highest stat, most likely being your special attack, making counterplay in opposing teams just that more difficult. Seriously, when team building, really look out for these 4. I'll show just some of their usage stats on Limitless. As you can see, it's ridiculous. I can't find any of them that aren't in the top 12 usage for the first day of competition. For bad matchups, there's always 4 Pokemon I think of first. I'd love to see your guesses in the comments. It's always cool to see what both beginners and experienced players' opinions are when it comes to some of my favourite Pokemon. Commented? Great. The first Pokemon I want to talk about is Incineroar. If this wasn't your first guess, please go watch any Wolfie video. After you finish this one though, of course. Incineroar is such a big wall for Rillaboom. A lot of sets actually drop the usual switch power of U-turn for high horsepower, specifically for Incineroar coverage. The biggest reason for Incineroar's dominance over Rillaboom is its ability Intimidate, dropping Rillaboom's very valuable attack stat by 1 stage on switching. This, plus Incineroar's fire typing, means Rillaboom does so little damage when it's on the field, there's nothing you can do but switch. Before moving to the next Pokemon, I would like to mention, Rillaboom does have one big lead on Incineroar, being specifically its higher speed stat, meaning if both Pokemon already have a Fake Out to use, Rillaboom will get to flinch first, giving it so much game control. Apart from this though, you are getting one shot by Flare Blitz while dealing 0 damage. Okay, moving on. The next Pokemon that causes Rillaboom so much trouble is Ogerpon Half Flame. All masks except the rock one are quite strong into Rillaboom, but we will just talk about the Fire Mask today since it causes a stupid amount of trouble for our funny drum monkey. To start, Ogerpon's typing, Fire and Grass, is essentially the perfect counter to Rillaboom. You quadruple resist Rillaboom's strong grass moves, while also taking neutral damage from the most common coverage moves, meaning Ogerpon's Follow Me redirection is an extremely broken counter to Rillaboom. Ogerpon's Fire typing and signature move, Ivy Cudgel, also almost Oko the bulkiest Rillaboom, meaning you basically just can't be on the field if Ogerpon is around. You even give Ogerpon a boost since so many either run Wood Hammer or Wolf's special Grassy Glide set, to give Ogerpon priority thanks to Rillaboom setting grassy terrain. Finally, Ogerpon gains the move Spiky Shield. Instead of the usual Protect, if a Pokemon tries to hit you with contact damage, they lose an 1/8 of their HP, meaning if you try Fake Out and Ogerpon uses Spiky Shield, you will be punished pretty hard. Up next is one of my personal favourites to come out of Scarlet and Violet, Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao is a much simpler counter explanation than the others. It hits Rillaboom hard, really hard. Chien-Pao's ability, Sword of Ruin, cuts all Pokemon on the field's defenses by 25%, except for its own, meaning one Icicle Crash and most Rillaboom will go down with extremely little impact. Even better, Chien-Pao has the move Ice Spinner, which removes all terrain when it connects with another Pokemon, meaning no more Grassy Glide or damage bonus for Rillaboom, just making it a mediocre Pokemon to have in play, giving Chien-Pao users a heavy advantage. Finally, a Pokemon that was brought to life from Incineroar's ashes just to deal with specifically the Balance Quartet I mentioned earlier, Landorus. Not that Landorus, this one. Now I can imagine you're surprised to see Landorus as a Rillaboom counter. Its usual ground coverage doesn't typically scare the resistant Rillaboom. This is where we get into its coverage move. Terra Poison, Life Orb, Sludge Bomb. Landorus is already really strong into Incineroar and Raging Bolt, dealing super effective damage with Earth Power and its signature Sandsear Storm. So players very commonly use Terra Poison to both resist Rillaboom's grass moves and gain an enormous 50% damage boost thanks to its newfound stab boost. Sheer Force also has some amazing synergies. Sludge Bomb will now remove its chance to poison Pokemon in exchange for a 30% damage boost, and for some reason, the Life Orb item that usually gives you a 30% damage boost for a 10% of your own HP every time you deal damage, no longer deals that recoil. No other item gains synergy this way with Sheer Force, so I have absolutely no idea why this works how it does. But it is a super great synergy that most Landorus players take advantage of to dish out so much more damage. Landorus can definitely one-shot your Rillaboom if you don't train specifically against it, so make sure you watch out if you want to add Rillaboom to your team. Rillaboom is an absolute VGC legend that everyone should both try out and look out for in your games. I hope this guide has helped you work Rillaboom both into and as a good matchup into your teams. If this video helped, please be sure to like and comment which Pokemon you'd like to see next. There is a lot to cover, so any narrowing down will be super helpful. And if you need any other questions answered, be sure to stop by my Twitch. I always answer any beginner VGC questions, so don't hesitate to come say hi. Have a great day guys, and I'll see you in the next one.